My girlfriend left me for a rich guy. 2 years later, she knocked on my door crying. 4 years ago, I thought I was about to propose to the woman I loved. Instead, she left me for a wealthy older man with a penthouse, luxury cars, and the kind of lifestyle social media convinces people they deserve. At the time, I thought losing her destroyed my life. Now I realize it probably saved it. I'm 31 now. Back then, I had been dating Claire for almost 6 years. We met in college while working part-time at the same bookstore, and for years we built our life together from absolutely nothing. Tiny apartments, cheap dinners, shared struggles. The kind of relationship where surviving together becomes part of the love story. At least that's what I believed. Claire always dreamed bigger than I did. She wanted luxury, status, expensive trips, fancy restaurants. Meanwhile, I was the type of person perfectly happy staying home with takeout and a movie. For years, we somehow balanced each other. Then she got a new marketing job downtown. And slowly, everything changed. Suddenly, she became obsessed with success, image, and money. She started criticizing little things about me constantly. My clothes, my salary, my car, my ambition. At first it sounded harmless. Then it became relentless. Nothing I did felt enough anymore. Meanwhile, I was secretly saving money to buy an engagement ring. Yeah, that part still hurts to admit. Then came Daniel. 38. Investment banker. Luxury apartment. Perfect smile. According to Claire, he was just a mentor from work. Funny how those mentors always text after midnight. One night I finally asked her directly, "Are you cheating on me?" She looked offended. "I can't believe you'd even ask me that." 3 weeks later, she ended our relationship. Calmly. Like 6 years together was just a phase she'd outgrown. And less than 2 months later, she moved into Daniel's penthouse. That's when my life completely fell apart. For the first few weeks after the breakup, I honestly functioned like a zombie. I still went to work, still answered emails, still pretended to be normal around people. But internally, I was destroyed. Everything reminded me of Claire. Songs, coffee shops, random perfume smells in grocery stores. Even stupid things like seeing her favorite snacks at the supermarket could ruin my entire day. The worst part wasn't even jealousy. It was rejection. That feeling that someone looked at your love, your loyalty, your effort, and decided it still wasn't enough. I started questioning everything about myself. Maybe I was boring. Maybe I lacked ambition. Maybe women only loved men who could provide excitement and luxury. Those thoughts become poisonous when you sit alone with them long enough. And I was very alone. Most of our mutual friends quietly drifted toward Claire after the breakup. Not because they hated me. People just naturally follow the louder, more charismatic person after relationships end. Claire was social, confident, beautiful. Meanwhile, I became the depressed guy canceling plans constantly. One Friday night, about 2 months after she left, I accidentally saw photos of her and Daniel online. They were in Italy, smiling on some yacht off the Amalfi Coast like a perfume commercial. I remember staring at those pictures feeling physically sick, because while I was barely surviving emotionally, she looked happier than ever. That night I got drunk alone for the first time in my life. Not socially drunk. The dangerous kind. The kind where you're not trying to have fun. You're trying to temporarily stop existing. Around 2 a.m., I ended up sitting on my kitchen floor staring at the engagement ring I never gave her. I had already bought it. Nobody knew that. Not even Claire. And honestly, looking at that ring broke me more than the breakup itself. Because suddenly every future I imagined disappeared at once. Marriage, kids, growing old together, gone. I ended up calling my older sister that night. I don't even remember what I said exactly. Mostly silence and crying, probably. The next morning she showed up at my apartment without warning. She walked inside, looked around at the mess, and said, "You can fall apart for a little while, but you can't live here permanently." At the time, I hated hearing that, because heartbreak tricks you into believing your pain is permanent. But she was right. A few days later, I started therapy. And before Reddit starts rolling its eyes, no, therapy didn't magically fix me overnight. Actually, the first few sessions made me feel worse. Because for the first time, someone forced me to confront uncomfortable truths about myself. One realization hit especially hard. I had built my entire identity around being loved by Claire. Her approval determined my self-worth. And when she left, I lost both her and the version of myself attached to her. That realization terrified me. So slowly, painfully, I started rebuilding my life from scratch. I began exercising regularly. Not some dramatic movie transformation. Honestly, at first I mostly walked around my neighborhood listening to depressing podcasts trying not to cry. But eventually those walks became runs. The runs became gym sessions. And little by little, I started feeling human again. I also stopped living like someone waiting for life to restart. I learned how to cook actual meals. Started reconnecting with old friends. Took small weekend trips alone. And something unexpected happened during that process. I started enjoying my own company. That shocked me. Because for years I believed loneliness was the worst possible outcome. Turns out constantly feeling emotionally inadequate beside someone hurts far more. About 8 months after the breakup, I got promoted at work unexpectedly. Nothing glamorous, but enough money to finally move into a better apartment downtown. And honestly, that apartment changed something in me psychologically. Because for the first time in years, I lived somewhere without memories attached to Claire. No ghost of our relationship lingering in the rooms. No reminders. Just peace. Around that same time, I met Maya. And no, she wasn't some fantasy woman who instantly healed my heartbreak. That's not real life. Maya was independent, opinionated, a little sarcastic sometimes. But she was emotionally honest in a way I wasn't used to anymore. We met through mutual friends during a hiking trip. At first, we barely spoke. Then during one break, she sat beside me, handed me a bottle of water, and casually asked, "So who emotionally destroyed you?" I laughed so hard I nearly choked, because apparently my heartbreak had become visible to strangers. Over the next few months, Maya and I slowly became close. And the biggest difference? I never felt like I had to audition for her affection. There was no performance, no pressure to constantly become richer, cooler, or more impressive. She liked bookstores, road trips, quiet mornings drinking coffee, simple things. Things Claire eventually started calling settling. And honestly, that difference changed my entire understanding of love. Because for the first time, I realized peace is underrated. People online glorify chaos constantly. Toxic passion, intense chemistry, emotional highs and lows. But real love? Real love feels emotionally safe. Then almost 2 years after Claire left me, she came back. Or at least tried to. It happened on a Thursday night around 10 p.m. I heard knocking at my apartment door and assumed it was food delivery for a neighbor. When I opened it, my brain genuinely froze. Claire was standing there crying. And for a second, it honestly felt like seeing a ghost. Not because she looked bad physically, because emotionally she looked completely different. Exhausted, fragile, lost. The confidence she used to carry everywhere was gone. She quietly asked, "Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I led her inside. We sat awkwardly in silence for almost a full minute before she finally started talking. Things with Daniel had fallen apart months earlier. Apparently, the luxurious life wasn't nearly as perfect behind closed doors. According to Claire, Daniel cheated constantly. He controlled everything, criticized her appearance, made her feel emotionally disposable. At one point, she quietly admitted, "I spent so much time chasing the life I thought I wanted that I destroyed the person who actually loved me." Hearing that felt strange, because for so long, I imagined this exact moment. I fantasized about her regretting leaving me. I thought it would heal something inside me. But sitting there watching her cry on my couch, I didn't feel victorious. I just felt sad. Not even for myself anymore. For both of us. Because sometimes people destroy good relationships chasing fantasies they don't fully understand until it's too late. Then she asked the question I think she already knew the answer to. "Do you think we could try again?" I remember looking around my apartment at the peaceful life I rebuilt from absolute emotional ruin. Then I thought about Maya, about therapy, about growth, about the version of myself that almost disappeared after Claire left. And suddenly the answer became incredibly clear. No, not angrily, not cruelly, just honestly. Claire started crying harder. She apologized repeatedly, said she made a terrible mistake, said she was immature and blinded by appearances. But heartbreak changes people permanently. Some wounds heal, others simply become part of who you are. Before leaving, she asked one final question. Did you ever stop loving me? That question haunted me for weeks afterward, because the truth is complicated. I think part of me will always love the version of Claire I thought existed. But loving someone doesn't automatically mean they belong in your future. Sometimes love becomes a lesson instead of a destination. After she left, I sat alone in silence for a long time. Then Maya came home later that weekend from visiting her parents. The second she walked through the door, she noticed something was wrong. And for a moment, I panicked internally. Old fears came rushing back. Fear of honesty, fear of conflict, fear of abandonment. But I told her everything, every detail. And instead of anger or jealousy, she simply wrapped her arms around me and softly said, "Thank you for telling me." That moment healed something deep inside me, because healthy love suddenly felt so different from the emotional chaos I used to confuse with passion. About a year later, Maya and I got engaged. Not because she saved me, but because with her, love finally felt peaceful instead of exhausting. And honestly, that's the biggest thing heartbreak taught me. Real love doesn't leave you constantly questioning your worth. It doesn't make you compete for basic affection. It doesn't make you feel replaceable. Sometimes losing the person you thought was your future is actually the first step toward finding the life you were supposed to have all along.